Hi, I'm Whack.
Hey, and I'm Pat. Thanks for joining us for another episode of the Weekly Orbit, Friday, January 10th. We've got a cool show today. We're going to be talking about an rETH bounty. We're going to talk about some rETH DeFi opportunities and also a couple 2025 predictions from the community. They'll go along with our predictions from last week, which aren't going so well so far. We'll talk about that later in markets. But I wanted to ask you, Wack, how is your AI token trading going?
Yeah, it's been really good fun. Like, honestly, it's like the most fun I've had in crypto since Atlas, pretty much, like the Atlas launch for Rocket Pool, because that was really good fun. And this is like the most fun I've had since then. And what happened is, I missed out on fun things in the past by being too cautious. And when I saw that this was something that was developing, I was like, oh, I really want to get in on this. And what happened is like we made a little thread, and that's become a really nice little community of people like sharing ideas and perspectives. It's really good fun. So I've been enjoying it a lot.
What did you miss out on before that gave you FOMO this time?
So I was in crypto I got into crypto in right at the end of 2017, early 2018. And I was just like sit on my crypto, right? Like you put it in your wallet, you just sit on it, and that's all there is to do. But of course, with ETH, in 2019, things started kind of blossoming and developing. And in 2020, we saw the explosion of DeFi Summer. And I was way too cautious to get involved in DeFi Summer. Didn't understand it properly. I was just like, this is not something that I want to take part in. There's too many scams, too many dodgy protocols where people are stealing liquidity, all that kind of stuff. It's not something I really want to take part in. So I didn't take part in it, and I missed out on a lot there. Like in hindsight, right? Like there was not just in money, but also as a learning experience. It took me a lot longer than to develop all that information about DeFi. Like it would have happened a lot quicker and a lot deeper, I think, if I'd done that then. And then a year later with with NFTs, NFT hype was starting, and I minted an NFT for Stoner Cats. I minted two, and that was a bad experience. Like gas fees were horrible on Ethereum, and the NFT value collapsed, and I was just like, yeah, this isn't for me. So it was again like another hole that I just didn't go down. I kind of like flirted with it a little bit, and then was like, nope, that's not for me, and missed out on a lot of like cultural understanding of Ethereum, but also financial gains potentially. And then another one was like with meme coins. I know that was mostly happening on Solana, which is already a huge barrier for me to like go there, but there was a lot happening with meme coins, and I probably would have lost money because everyone loses money with meme coins. So I'm kind of glad that I didn't take part in that. But with the AI stuff as it was coming up, like when I heard about it like a month ago, pretty much, at that point it was just like, you have to be kind of exposed to an idea a few times before you kind of delve into it. And I got that exposure really quickly, and I was already kind of thinking that I want to like take a chance, right? Like so, I took out a small amount of my portfolio, and not much, like not even like in the beginning, not even 10%. It's about 10% now. That I took out my portfolio, and I invested in some AI coins and like got into the trenches, and just enjoying it, and like just talking to people about it, and reestablishing connections with people that I knew in the past on Twitter. And it's really, really good fun. And the best thing is like we're making money, which is really nice as well. So
yeah, of course.
One of the best things about crypto, like, it's very much an online community, like lots of online communities. And the time when it's most fun is when people are making money together. And I think that's kind of what happened in the Rocket Pool community in Atlas, when we were all making money together. Like, there were points where every single node was above 10%, and every single node was making profits, and it was a really, really nice time. And obviously that has changed a lot in the last year, nearly 2 years now, basically, when the Atlas hype was starting. And there's been a lot of negativity and all that kind of stuff. So it's nice to just be in an environment where there's a lot of positivity and where people are actually making money. So that's been really good fun.
Yeah, these things sometimes can be really short-lived too, right? They can burn really hot real fast. Like I think DeFi Summer maybe was like 3 or 4 months.
So the peak of DeFi Summer was about 3 or 4 months. You're right, but like DeFi Summer itself lasted around 9 months in total. So it tends to be that these kind of narratives, like these big narratives, kind of last between 6 to 18 months. And the really interesting thing is that, this AI agent narrative kind of started around 2 months ago, where people then started paying attention about a month ago. So we're really very early in this. Like, the joke is that, when your grandmother is launching her own AI agent, then that's when you should be selling. And like we're not at that point yet. Like, someone was telling the story of like this Discord channel in DeFi Summer, where there was an old grandma who used to come in and say GM every day and tell people her yield strategy, and they're like, what's going on? So those are kind of top signals. I don't think we're at the top of this yet. Like, the thing with the AI market is that it's meshing together like some really big narratives that are not just crypto narratives, obviously, but regular narratives as well. Like, AI is just huge, and normie narratives tend to play out over longer periods of time. So if that hype keeps going on the traditional side and then the crypto side as well, like, I can see this running for another 6 to 8 months potentially from here. And if that happens, that will coincide with the peak of the bull market. I think there's it's a really, really, really smart time to take positions. And like, whenever we've been buying tokens in my group, like, we've been doing something called top blasting, which is when you see a token and it's already at its all-time high, and then you buy it anyway. The idea is, the token's at its all-time high, wait for a retrace before you buy it. So we just we're just going to buy it at the top, and we top blast it, and then it just keeps going and going and going. So it's like, that's fun. So there's lots of little things like that are really fun, and the fact that it's we're building these little communities of people to share the information with and share our wins with is really nice. So it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, well, let's take a look at markets this week. I remember Wacky for saying that, wow, wait till the first week in January. The road to Valhalla will be clearly marked. And but something happened. It seems really foggy out there. I can't see much of a Valhalla. It's been a real rough week here for crypto and markets. TradFi too, I think. Right now, Ethereum's at 32.52. It's down 3% overnight, or over the last 24 hours. Let's see, over the last week, we're down about 6.5%. So let's take a look at what's RPL doing. Probably worse because it's more of a beta. It's $10.45. It's down 14% over the last week. And if we look at just the markets in general over the last 5 days, ETH is down about 10% over the last 5 days. RPL down 15%. The broader market is down about 7%. So what happened here? I thought we're going to be repeating 2020 or 2021. I'm sorry.
2021,
and we'd be flying. It turns out the market has some other ideas. So what's going on?
Yeah, so in the December report with the Fed, when they were setting interest rates, they did lower the interest rate by 0.25%, which is what was expected. But one of the things they said at the time was that, we're not worried about jobs. We want to focus on inflation, and we want to make sure that inflation doesn't start rising. So with that in mind, what we're going to do is we're going to have fewer rate cuts in 2025 than was previously expected. Like, around about 6 months ago, people were thinking that in 2025 we'd get 6 to 8 rate cuts, which would be going down 2 percentage points, maybe around that much. Now the Fed is saying that, we've had 4 rate cuts already, equivalent to 1 percentage point down. But in the next coming year, instead of going down another 1 to 2%, it's actually going to go down probably 0.5%, which is less than what people had expected. So that was, kind of put a little bit of a dampener on things in December. Now, going into January, the first thing to look out for then was the jobs report. So if the jobs were getting really bad, people were losing jobs a lot, then the Fed would have to intervene with that, because that's where the Fed has a dual mandate. So the dual mandate is to keep unemployment below 5% and keep inflation at 2%. So the way they do that is adjusting the interest rate to make money cheaper or more expensive, that then stimulates or dampens the economy. And what's happening is that people are not losing jobs fast enough for the Fed to worry about that. So they're just going to focus on inflation, which means that, there was this idea that even though the Fed is saying there are going to be 2 rate cuts, there will probably be more, depending on, if things are breaking. But now the worry is, that we're not going to get that economic stimulus. So with that news coming out this week, I think it just kind of put a little bit of jittery sentiment into the market. The reality is as well, though, Pat, is that we've not had big pullbacks on BTC, and BTC, of course, is the biggest asset in the market, and it's just leading the way the whole way, right? But BTC hasn't had any big pullbacks, and the fact that that hasn't had those pullbacks means that when it happens, like we could get one of those like 20, 30, 40% pullbacks, and that's normal for a bull market. Is that you can get those big pullbacks, and we haven't had those yet. So I think there's a whole generation of crypto investors now, like who have come in the last couple of years, who haven't seen those bull market pullbacks. So whenever there is even a small pullback, people are like, is this over? Is this over? Like, is the bull market done? And I saw people like think the bull market was done, like on Twitter over the last couple of days, and I'm like, what are you guys smoking? Like, the bull market is not done. Like, this is the timing, has shifted potentially a little bit, but I think that we're going to be okay. And like ETH being down 6% in the week is not that big a deal. Down 12% in 30 days is not nice. Like, I would have hoped that we would be up, but yeah, sadly, like January hasn't had that boost that I was hoping it would have yet. I hope it comes soon.
Yeah, it's only January 9th, but hopefully we'll see markets rebound. It kind of shows also how macro is still playing a big part in all of this, right?
Yeah.
And the whole macro thing started when the Fed was like, okay, we're going to start raising rates. Remember that a couple of years ago? Yeah, and we had like unprecedented rate increases, and that that just all the market. That's when we had our bear market, is when that happened. So it still shows that the people are still paying attention to the Fed cuts, quantitative easing or tightening. It's still a big factor, and we'll see what happens going forward. Let's take a look at one of the cool things this week was Jasper was putting this out, is a $10,000 bounty for anyone who wants to create an what's called Rocket Arb to help kind of get the rETH back to peg. And this was put out. I know there's been people playing with this already, trying to get that $10,000 prize, which is really nice. And could you get into a little bit of the technical details? Like, why do we need this, and how could it be implemented eventually? Is it going to be like through the Smartnode or what?
Yeah. Okay. So rETH has a peg on the market, right? And that peg is kind of set in two ways. There's through the oracles and the protocol, and then there's the secondary market, what people are actually paying for the token. Now, the oracles tell you that every day the value of rETH goes up against ETH. That's because rETH is accruing rewards from staking, and it goes up by that amount every year, and over time, it gets more valuable against ETH. So that's awesome. However, in the secondary market, when more people want to sell their rETH and they can't do it through the protocol, then they sell it on the secondary market, and that causes something called a depeg, where because there is more supply than demand, the price of rETH on the secondary market comes down compared to the oracle price, like the actual protocol price, what Rocket Pool thinks the price of rETH should be. Now, the problem with that is the IMC, sets liquidity around the peg pretty much. That means like if you want to trade in and out of rETH, the closer it is to peg, the actual value that the protocol sets, the more liquidity you have, the more depth you have, the better experience you have going in and out of rETH, regardless of whether it's on the primary or secondary markets. Now, what's happening as you go off peg, liquidity gets thinner because like people are incentivizing liquidity off peg, but also it just becomes more experience for people, like getting in and out of rETH. They're losing weeks worth or months worth of staking rewards by selling on the secondary market. The problem is for Rocket Pool is that we don't have a mechanism for getting back to peg. Now, the way that it would normally work in other protocols, what works is the people who want their LST back at peg, they will make a request of the protocol saying, hey, we want to withdraw. The protocol would then go and exit some validators, and those validators that get exited, they would be used to pay back the person who wants to withdraw at peg. So they might have to wait, 10 days or whatever it is at max to get their money back, but they can get it back at peg. Rocket Pool doesn't have any of those kind of systems. There's no way for us to tell the operators, hey, you should exit so we can pay back this person who wants their money. So what happens is that, they'll just have to sell it on the secondary market, which causes a depeg to worsen. And it's just a bad user experience. So there is a plan to put in a withdrawal / forced exit mechanism in Saturn 2 most likely. And that would be based on performance or, different things like that. But there might be a way to, ask people to do it voluntarily potentially. But before then, what we need is like some way to stop the peg from getting worse. And what happens is when people exit their validators, the ETH that's in the validator gets returned to the deposit pool, and then people can basically mint that rETH at peg and mint rETH on the secondary market and then sell it at peg, so they can arbitrage that profit. So this is being done by bots right now. So this Rocket Arb for closes for exits would kind of bring that back into the control of the node operator. So what would happen is the node operator would exit, and as they exited, they would go through Rocket Arb for closes. So then they would have a bundle that buys the rETH on the secondary market, puts their ETH into the deposit pool, uses the rETH from the secondary market to burn the rETH into the deposit pool, and then go back and sell it on the secondary market. So the difference, they could pocket it. So this is the same as Rocket Arb for premiums. When you start a node, that Ramana made a couple of years ago, and that was used really nicely a few times, to get more node operators online. The thing that happens here is that this would, make it so node operators would exit Rocket Pool. So, our TVL would go down, but overall it would be a better experience for node operators. So the thing is, like, the discount has to get bad enough to make it attractive for node operators to exit. So there's still, it becomes an incentive game rather than something more formal. But it still works. So I think that this is really cool. Now, this bounty was submitted to the GMC. The GMC approved it, and people have already started working on it, which is really exciting. We've already had prototypes come through. Ramana has used a prototype himself to exit one of his validators and use it, and it worked. There's another person called Trooper who's also working on it and released version 0.1 yesterday to the community. So the progress on this is happening really quickly, which is really awesome to see. And now we just wait and see how it goes.
Is there a 30-day, like what time frame do we have here?
14-day window, but I think that is passed or is very close to passing. So I'm not exactly sure what the status of that is, but like, I don't think anyone's going to challenge it. This is something that we need in the protocol, and it's coming. So the code is written now. A couple of different people have shown it to work. The next step now is to get it integrated into the command line, into the Smartnode, hopefully. And in the Smartnode, then it'll just make it really easy for people to do it. That's the next step.
Yeah, that's cool, because I know in the Rocket Arb, they try to take advantage of the premium. That was something you had to kind of do on your own outside the Smartnode. And for some novice like myself, I found that intimidating and challenging. To have something like this just integrated with the Smartnode and make it easy is really, I think that's a priority, because otherwise a lot of people just won't do it because they won't know how to, right? Yeah. Okay, cool. So good progress there. Hey, there's a new website here called RocketFi, and this is a replacement for RPL DeFi, the spreadsheet that we've been looking at over these years, because it looks very similar, but just in a really nice format.
Yeah, so that's just the Google Doc that gets updated by Regex Buster every couple of weeks. At the moment, I think we're going to keep both of them going, because this is paid. The GMC pays for this website, so we're just going to keep both of them going for now. And like, there's overlap in terms of content, but what's really good here is that the information is just presented in a really nice way. It's really clean. And what I would like to see here is a lot more information, and just like it being fleshed out a lot more. But it's really good that you can see where the rETH is and what's going on and how it's all looking, and some of these other protocols need to be added there as well, like Contango and Euler, etc. They're just at the bottom as tags right now, but they're sucking up liquidity as well. So this is a really nice website. Like, it looks clean and it's got good information on there. So it's
this
pretty
popped
cool.
out at me, the USDC rETH on Morpho. If you supply rETH, it's currently about 170% APY. That'll change. Yeah, it's only 214. The USD, $214 worth. That's why it's so high. Yeah, this is nice. I like it. And I think this is where we're going. We got to kind of professionalize it. Like a Google Doc, it just doesn't look, nice and crisp like this does. And I think this is something to keep an eye on. Is this being updated? Is this updated like daily, weekly, bi-weekly?
I think it
Do you
pulls
know?
information using an API. I think it's getting those pieces of information automatically, but I'm not certain.
Nice.
And yeah, I should find out the answer for that, but I'm not sure what it is.
Cool. Let's take a look at Euler,
Euler,
Euler.
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 Yeah, because look in
Okay.
the name it says Euler Labs, and they've got a little barrel of oil. Just to let you know, it's Euler.
Euler. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know. I think on Bankless they were talking about this a while back. Like, what's the right way to say this? So Euler is touting a few new assets they've added, our ETH. And I think we covered this maybe a few weeks back, but they're adding our ETH, Easy ETH, METH, RS ETH, ETHX. And so it's currently live. And so
Yeah.
if you'd like to supply our ETH, this is just another DeFi opportunity for you. It's got, I think with Euler, I'm sorry, you can also, you can do that folding, right? Where you can leverage and borrow, take out, put our ETH in, take ETH out, buy our ETH and put it back in and so on. Right. Euler had a really bad hack few years, but was it 2 years ago or
A year and a
2 or
half ago, I
3?
think. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. And they've come back. Congrats to that team for. It's probably the worst day of your life when your platform you've worked so hard on gets hacked and drained.
Yeah.
Pretty much they've paid back everything, and they've got a new platform out that's been audited. Of course, it's do your own research. Be careful on this stuff, but it's nice. The point why I wanted to highlight this is because we want more rETH integrations. We want more market, a bigger market for rETH, so people will mint it and use it more often. And Euler is one of those that maybe a kind of a faster growing, smaller platform that I'm happy to see rETH integrated on. Do you have any quick thoughts on an Euler?
Yeah. So Euler is now giving incentives. That's the key piece of information here. And if you deposit your rETH, there's incentives. So like as you can see on the screen here, like if you deposit your rETH, you can get supply APY of 11.45%, and they've got $606,000 worth of rETH in there now, which is not that much, but the supply percentages are still looking quite good. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that number go up. Sadly, with a lot of these things, people don't know that it's there and that the incentives are there. So if you get in early, congrats, because you can get some really, really nice rewards for a period of time. But I expect this to grow quite quickly.
Yeah, looks good. Then the other one this week was Contango. Their X post here says, our ETH and ETH by Rocket Pool earns 3,500 OP tokens during the first 3 weeks. Also earns 320 RPL, earns 3 times Contango points, and earns comp tokens as well. So Contango here is showing this is like leverage. So if you max the leverage at 9.78 times, you could earn 158%. The max amount you can is only about 48 ETH, so it's not a big, if you're a big whale and you're looking to go full degen, this is not going to help you out. But for smaller investors, this is something to look out. Is this something that Alpha Growth is helping out on with Contango and Euler to help spur these incentives and integrations?
Not with Euler, but yeah, with Contango. So they were massaging the wheels, like oiling the wheels behind the scene, and getting everything set and ready to go for this Contango one. The problem with the Contango one is that it's maxed out now, and we're paying all these incentives for a pool that's maxed out. So we really need the caps to be lifted as soon as possible. It looks like those will be lifted soon, but I think even with the lifting of the caps, they're not going to be lifted enough. Quickly enough. So that's something that we're keeping an eye on and trying to push to make it happen a little bit quicker. But because otherwise we're just giving money away for TVL in the way that we're overpaying for it. So that's something that needs to be fixed soon, hopefully. But otherwise, yeah, it's looking good. Like they're pulling in some rETH, and again, it's one of those things that we need to see people kind of like using it and getting involved with it, and hopefully that could become something that's decent over the next few weeks.
So is Contango a platform where it's an automated investment strategy for you, where you put your rETH in and then they go into Compound, put it in, and then they'll start looping it for you? Is that what they do?
Yeah, so you set the parameters of what you want to happen as you're making your deposit. and like you can set the leverage amount that you want. You can set the the risk you're willing to take basically, and they can tell you what your liquidation points will be, all that kind of stuff. And then you submit it, and then they'll do everything else behind the scenes. And hopefully you'll turn up in a few weeks' time a lot richer. But maybe it might take a while.
Yeah, or
Yeah,
hopefully not poor.
yeah.
Okay, let's take one other thing this week. Allnodes does a pretty has a pretty good share of node operators. I think maybe 25% or 30%, something somewhere around there. And up until this week, you could still set up a 16 ETH validator. And this is apparently was supposed to be disabled January 6th, which was Monday. I haven't checked this. Allnodes seems pretty good when they say they're going to do something. Because I've used Allnodes in the past, and they seem to really follow through on what they say. So
Yeah.
I didn't realize that you could still set up 16 ETH validators. I guess nobody else did either until it was brought to the community's attention.
So the smart node, well, okay, so the smart contracts are there and they'll be there forever. So they're immutable, right? You can't take those away. So if you want to do, if you want to interact with the smart contracts, the 16 ETH option will always be an option for you. However, to do that now, you're leaving a lot of rewards on the table. So it just doesn't make sense financially speaking. So what the Rocket Pool protocol did was remove the option of having 16 ETH validators from the smart node. So when you set up your validator with smart node, there's no option there now for 16 ETH validators. However, all nodes kind of built their own infrastructure around it and their own interactions with the smart contracts. So they had left in the option for 16 ETH validators. So every once in a while we'd see such and such person started a 16 ETH validator, and we're like, why would you do that? That doesn't make any sense. So I think what happened is when Saturn Zero was going live, Mav reached out to Allnodes, telling them that, hey, look, the 16 ETH validator is not profitable anymore. Make sure that you let your users know, or remove the option. But it looks like they didn't. Recently some node operators started a few, maybe I think 5 or 10 16 ETH validators. So the community kind of just was like, guys, what are you guys doing? So Mav reached out to them again saying, look, this is just a bad experience for your node operators. Don't do it. So what they did then is they're disabling the option from January 6th. So that was on Monday this week when people came back to work. I think it's just a front end change basically to just remove the for 16 ETH. So I would expect that it has gone through now.
Yep. Cool. Okay. So last week we had a real fun show. You and me and our good friend Jasper talked about what our predictions were. And apologies, we use Riverside to help produce our show. And for whatever reason, when we played the video from the year before, to kind of see, hey, how did we do? The audio did not come through. I had reached out to tech support. They eventually fixed it, but by the time they get back to you, it's 5 days later, and it really is not helpful because we try to publish, the same day we record this. So, in any event, we have some community making some predictions of their own. ETH to 16,000, RPL to 300. Well, that would be really fun. 16,000 maybe, RPL 300. What's that ratio? That would be a pretty awesome ratio. Ish, yeah. Did you just do that in your head?
No, I actually worked it out earlier. I just remembered. Let me see if it's right actually. 0.01875. So that is actually, I think, plausible. It's possible. I think
that's what you and Jasper were saying last week.
That ratio amount sounds right. It just depends on how high ETH will go, and then of course that's where RPL will go. So RPL, if that ratio hits, that would be a very nice outperformance of ETH from here, a good 5x against ETH, and then whatever ETH does obviously will be multiplied by that as well. So if ETH goes 4x, RPL goes 5x, that's a nice 20x in price, which takes us to around nice nice numbers.
Yeah, right. Yeah. It is cool. Our last thing on the agenda, this cool little script was just made by Centauri.eth, post on X. Rocket Pool Smartnode setup just went from 15 minutes to install to a 2-minute install. This script lets you take a fresh install of Ubuntu or Debian and completely automates the setup of the OS to be staking ready. Feel free to check it out at the GitHub. And you can watch this video and essentially walks you through. I think this is probably something for those who are really into their hardware and playing with this stuff. For me, 15 minutes is fine because I take my time with this, setting stuff up. But if you like setting up your own boxes and playing around, I think this could be a real time saver. That's what I think. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't suggest this for new node operators. People who want to stake at home and run their stake. I think they should really take their time with it, like really read through the docs, do everything step by step, and kind of understand why each step is calling for that to happen. I think like for a new node operator, just like race through the whole setup. What will happen is if they ever face problems, they won't know how to deal with it. They won't know how to identify the problem, how to fix it. So this is really, really good for those people who want to test things or work around with things. Now we've had scripts in the past that do things as well, but it seems like this one just like broke the record. Excuse me. This one just broke the record in terms of like how quickly it's doing things. So it looks really good from that front. I don't really have much need to play around with this myself, but I'm sure that other people will really enjoy using it.
Sure. Yep. Yeah. Okay, so let's go on to wins for the week. I'll start. My win is today is there's a memorial service for former President Jimmy Carter, who passed away at the ripe old age of 100 years old last week, and I thought that was funny. I saw an interview, maybe it was a few months back, with, I don't know if it was his nephew or grandson, but he said, yeah, I was talking to my grandpa and I said, hey, happy birthday, grandpa. Are you going to do anything to celebrate? And he said, in dry humor, he said, celebrate. I'm 100 years old. What am I celebrating? But he had what a life. I think he kind of redefined the post-presidency and what you could do and accomplish. He went on to win the Nobel Peace Prize. He helped with Homes for Humanity, helped build over 4,000 homes for those in need. Just a few years back, he had brain cancer, somehow survived, and he was out there pounding nails, even in his 90s. Another memorable thing, I remember there was an interview maybe 20 years ago, and he was asked, when you won, the night you won the presidency in 1976, that must have been something. Was that the best day of your life? And he immediately said, oh no, the best day of my life was when Rosalind said yes, when I asked her to marry me. And I said, wow, that guy is going to score a point with his wife, But he was married for 77 years. He was humble, smart. He was a submariner. He had joined the Navy, was in a submarine. He went on to get a graduate degree in nuclear physics. Then he went and bought a peanut farm that was squandering, and he turned it back into being profitable, became governor of Georgia, and then became president. What a life. So my win this week is Jimmy Carter. Politics aside, people can debate the pros and cons of his actual presidency of 4 years, but his contributions and service, I think, should be honored. And he really was a role model for a lot of people, especially post-presidency. So hats off to him. Hope he's resting in peace. How about you?
That's lovely, Pat. Yeah, I don't think I can top that. But for me, it's just finding community. You know what I mean? And one of the things that we love about Rocket Pool so much is that it's such an amazing community, right? The people here are passionate about Ethereum, they're passionate about crypto, they're passionate about Rocket Pool, of course, but also they have their own personalities, their own quirks, and getting to know the different people in the Rocket Pool community has just been amazing. But over these last few weeks, with this AI thing, I've reached out to a whole bunch of other people who I haven't really spoken to in a while that were in previous communities that we're in. So today I'm wearing my EV Maverick shirt because this is an NFT collection that was airdropped to ETH Finance users, which was my first community in crypto that I absolutely loved and adored being a part of and still visit all the time. EV Mavericks have had a resurgence recently. Their NFT price has increased a lot. The floor hit 1.5 ETH, which was really nice. But a lot of that is coming from the communities I'm finding around the AI stuff as well. So the thread that I set up in the Rocket Pool community is WAC trades AI tokens like follow along. And we've had maybe 100 people join that thread now, and people share ideas and they share their wins and they share their excitement. And it's just really, really nice to, talk to these people in this positive and happy way. And I feel like that's kind of been missing in my crypto journey for like the last year and a half, really. Like that post Atlas period, it's just been such a downer, sadly. And that's normal. Like when token prices go down, like, people vent their frustrations, and that negativity kind of like amplifies and grows over time. So finding these little pockets of communities, like with people who are happy and excited and engaging with crypto and like doing fun things, it's really, really nice to be part of that, and kind of like in some ways be a very small leader of that as well, like in a weird way. So it's just
you are.
really nice. Yeah, just really nice that's happening, and just to be like, bringing some positivity back, and that's my win for the week, is like these communities that I'm part of and that I'm like kind of winning with people. So it's nice.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Well, that concludes our show. Thanks for joining us. Like and subscribe. Whack and I will be back next week, and stay tuned for another episode of Rocket Fuel. I'm sure you got one coming out in the next
Like
couple of days as well, right?
10 minutes after I finish recording, it's all ready to go. So it's coming right now.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll see you all next week. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Pat. Bye. Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.